this last Sunday's story was all about decisions. We all make decisions all the time. But this is a story about how important decisions are to God. In particular, some of the decisions that are related to what it means to be in a relationship with God. Because relationships don't just start on their own. Relationships happen and begin because of decisions that we make. And also relationships continue because of constant decisions that we keep on making. We looked at the story of Elijah, the prophet who brought a competition against some of the leaders of the northern nations of Israel who were living in ways that weren't pleasing to God. He brought this competition to them, and it was a competition between Elijah the prophet and all the prophets of these other gods that they were worshiping. And the competition was basically to say, who's the real God here? So let's have a competition to see who shows up, which God shows up and does something miraculous. Well, as the story goes on, Elijah competes with all these hundreds and hundreds of prophets. It's hundreds to one. And Elijah comes out on top with a huge show of God's miraculous power and force. And God's whole point with this whole thing is, who are you going to follow? What decisions are you going to make today about who you're going to follow? Is it going to be all these other things? Is it going to be to keep your options open and keep all things on the table? Or is your decision going to be to follow the one true God who craves a relationship with you? God wants us to make decisions. Decisions for God, decisions to follow God, and decisions to be in a relationship with God. And it's not just a once and for all thing that if we make the decision, then everything's sealed and done. It's something where we make decisions constantly about following God, which means that we're not following other things. So what kind of decisions are you making today? What kind of decisions are we making together as a church? Are we making decisions that honor and encourage us to follow God? This next Sunday, we're nearing the end of our journey through the Old Testament as we transition in June to the New Testament. And we're looking at the story of Jonah, this hugely popular story of Jonah and the whale. And we'll see what God has to teach us.